Hello and welcome to Hard Copy, where it's nothing but serious conversation. I'm Terry Ikumi. Now, almost 1 in 4 sub-Saharan people reside in Nigeria, making it Africa's most populous country. It's also the 7th most populous country in the world, one with ongoing growth. In fact, the United Nations anticipates that Nigeria will become the 3rd largest country in the world by 2050, with 399 million people. However, when it comes to education, Nigeria is the #1 country of origin for international students from Africa, meaning more Nigerian students go overseas to study than any other African country. And according to data from the UNESCO Institute of Statistics, the number of Nigerian students abroad increased by 164% between 2005 and 2015 alone. That's from 26,997 to 71,351. The main factors responsible for this outflow of students in Nigeria are fundamentally unchanged till date. We're talking about the failure of Nigeria's education system to meet booming demand, the poor quality of its universities, rapid growth in the number of middle-class families who can now afford to send their children overseas. But do we expect the third one to change for bad? No. However, given these factors, it seems quite unlikely that the number of outbound Nigerian students will reduce anytime soon, unless, of course, we can improve the quality of our universities and meet the booming demands of Nigerian students who are seeking admission into tertiary institutions. All these boil down to one strong factor: funding, which over the years successive governments have not really been able to improve upon. In fact, till date, there is no Nigerian government that has ever raised the allocation for education to the United Nations 26% of the annual national budget recommendation. In fact, according to budget, from 2011 to 2015, it was between 9 and 10%, and then there's 6.6% in 2016, 7.4% in 2017, and 7.0% in 2018. Well, tonight on Hard Copy, I speak with a man who is a lawyer, university teacher, professor of political science, adjunct professor of public law, who is also a member of the House of Representatives Committee on Tertiary Education and TET Fund, to find out how possible improvements can be made to drastically reduce the outward flow of Nigerian students at the tertiary level. Professor Mojeed Alabi, thank you so much for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you too for giving me the opportunity to speak to current issues in Nigeria.
Well, you're quite vast. You've had your education predominantly in Nigeria, at least up to first PhD level.
Yes, sir.
Shouldn't we be worried about the kind of outrageous statistics that are associated with us, especially when we talk of education, compared with what obtains elsewhere in the world?
Of course we should. Any reasonable Nigerian who is concerned about the future of the country, particularly with particular reference to the future of our younger generations who are coming up, should get worried that the statistics with regard to developmental issues in Nigeria are so much on the negative than on the positive side, particularly in the area relating to education. And this is not a function of education per se, as of the fact that the totality of the society itself is in a state of comatose. And to that extent, we cannot simply just isolate the problem of education. But I must tell you that the fact that our education is recording negative statistics will put us in the front burner when you are talking in terms of underdevelopment. More so in Nigeria, our leaders, successful, including myself because I'm part of the system now, we seem to think in terms of what we can immediately see as benefit, rather than investing in long term that can begin to yield fruitful results in several years.
But that's the misplacement of priority you talked about.
Yes, sir.
And that would have to be budget allocation, lack of attention to the education sector with regard to how much is allocated to that sector.
In terms of allocation from the budgetary provision is part of it. Lack of priority that I'm talking about does not only concern money, but also concern policy issues. What are the focus of government at any particular point in time? What are the basis for setting up institutions? Are we actually setting up our institution with a view to producing the best for us, or just because we want to achieve maybe cheap political point, being popular for the wrong reasons, nepotism, citing institutions in our community rather than thinking of where they could best serve the purpose for which they are set up. Even budgetary provisions are made in terms of who gets the largest chunk of it. Oh, there are so many universities, and then which one is from my community? More money should go there, even when we have not seen particular capacity in that particular institution to use the money judiciously to achieve the purpose for which it is wanted. So it's a long-term thing, and it's a function of the fact that we have not put the right people at the aim of affair to properly channel our policies.
At what level are you talking about?
I'm talking at the level of governance.
Governance.
Because whatever happens, most of the time we talk in terms of policy, but policies are made by particular individuals.
We cannot rule out budgetary allocation. I say that because it's one of the indices with which universities are ranked. How much attention you pay to education is varied by how much you allocate to the sector. Now, it's been downhill for us. There's not been good, just a second, there's not been good allocation to the funding, to the education sector. We're not ranked in the top 800 universities in the world.
Of course.
We're not ranked in the top 10 universities
of course.
In Africa.
Yes, sir.
Funding is a major problem.
I agree that funding is important for the development of any sector of the Nigerian economy, be it education, be it health, be it agriculture, anywhere. And therefore, the fact that the education sector has not been given much allocation over the years, but have been responsible for the generations. As a policy maker, you need to sit down and determine what your priorities are. And it is when you determine your priorities that you now
over the years, we have not prioritized
That's what I'm
education.
saying. People have not given priority to education because as far as they are concerned, the